All right, we are rolling. This one is for you, Leo. This is Tarot Lumination. It's your mini generic love and relationship report for this November 2018 season. Things that we're noticing here is that it's a month of big changes. There have been a lot of very steady, long-term, stressful aspects. And for you, Leo, it's been very much to do with the Leo Aquarius eclipses, the journey of the Leo North Node, and so on. A lot of that energy is shifting now. Big, big changes this month. It's not going to happen just like a switch. It's going to go throughout the whole month. So the beginning of the month might feel quite different to the end of the month. We're just coming out of, the October season where there was a very heavy, big Scorpio stellium for everybody. It affected you too at the foundations of your life and your world. But everything's going to shift. We'll get back to the cards in a second. I want to get into this with you just briefly. This is just Tarot Lumination's personal notes, and I'm just sharing them with you. If you want to get into it at a personal level, please watch the other playlist. It's the general reports for the individual. This is love and relationship, okay? So I'm only focusing on two parts of the chart here, really. Your fifth house of true love and romance and your seventh house of fundamental relationships over here. So a couple of things. This is where all the stressors were, over here with the big Scorpio stellium in the foundations of your chart, your life, your world, your home, family, and so on. But the big changes happen towards the middle of the month, where Jupiter moves into Sagittarius over here, your fifth house. This is very good news for you. Gives a real boost, uplifting. Sagittarius is very harmonious energy for you in your fifth house here. Also, around the 22nd, right towards the end of the month, Sun is moving into Sagittarius, really lighting things up for you romantically. Also, Mercury is going retrograde on the 17th in Sagittarius. So, that can, confuse things a little bit, but it's not the end of the world. The next thing is that this troublemaker over here, Mars in Aquarius, is going to be leaving your sign after so many months hovering through your sign. It's going to be moving into Pisces from about the 17th of November onwards. So you might feel a lot of relief. Going towards the end of the month, things might be lighter and more fun for you. I would please ask you to pay attention to some lunar patterns through this month. And I'm going to give you some dates. On and around November the 9th, the moon is going to go through Sagittarius. On and around November 14th, moon will be in Aquarius over here. On and around the 28th, moon will be in Leo over here. Why am I emphasizing the moon so much? It's because I want you to pay attention to how you feel on those really specific dates, and get really deep in tune with yourself and figure out, who am I going to be now? How am I going to go forward in life and love and relationship? Because it's not all about the other person, how are they affecting you. It's you. This is all about you, and we're just taking a look into the relationship itself, okay? You have to own the whole thing. We're going to allow for a significant other. I'll give you some notes here. We're going to shuffle like we always do to the last second so that you're a witness. No jumpers, no flyers, no oracles, no reversals. Next, we're going to use the Tarot Lumination Crucible spread on the understanding that there's you, Leo, a significant other, and a third entity, totally separate, that has its own meaning, life, mission, and purpose, like a little business. It's the relationship itself, okay? And in a healthy, loving relationship, both parties are aware of this third entity, and they invest through and they conduct themselves through the relationship. Next, I invite you to cross-watch for significant others. Next, please invite your invisible friends. It really helps to expand the reading and get more value for you. Your archangels and spirit guides and guardians and all of that. Also, please watch your sun, moon, and rising, especially if they're all different, and then reinterpret all of this to suit yourselves. Okay, we're going to go for it now. Oh, by the way, First Friday, group healing events. Check out the links below. If you want the personal stuff, check out the general reports link below. Subscribes and likes, please, 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 the more the merrier. It really helps the channel survive. As you know, doing this is kind of like a labor of love, and we need to grow things substantially here. The best way you guys can do that, the best kind of thank you can give to Tarot Illumination is to become a member. Check the links below. Cards are well shuffled. Okay, we're going to leave it at that. We're going to cut it up. Thank you, Leo, for being here, choosing Tarot Illumination. Bless Tarot Illumination, the channel, the cameras and lights and internet and YouTube and Google for allowing all of this to happen in the first place so we can do this all over the world. Thank you so, so much. Wherever you are, Leo. Okay, let's have a look. What are you radiating here? Over here, what are they radiating? Okay, think of yourself like a cell phone. You're always transmitting and receiving energy, and your battery never runs out. Okay, over here, deep down inside of you. Over here, deep down inside of the other. Over here at the core, the relationship itself. So I'm hoping you can see the crucible here. This is a crucible. A crucible is a bowl type structure, and it's built to withstand intense pressures of alchemical reactions. It's just the same way in human relationship as we intimate and separate. Sometimes the pressures are intense. Sometimes we feel like this. Sometimes we feel like this. And we have to endure the extremes in between. It's not like we're here at Tarot Illumination advocating putting everything on autopilot, like here's a list of 10 things to make your relationship work. The How-To Tarot Illumination Book of Success in Love and Relationship. We don't do that here, okay? Everything is always in a state of flux, and we have to live with that. Just like running a business, okay? Everything is constantly changing all the time. So you have to get on top of it. So this energy is very important. And what are you growing here? If you think of this as something that you're nurturing and growing, is it leaky? Is it got good foundations? Is it strong? Is it fake? What is it? Over here, circumstantial energy, environmental influences. I like to think of it as the weather, okay? It's not necessarily you, but it's more like what's out there influencing things. That we have the Princess of Pentacles here. So to me, this is very sweet, benevolent energy. And I think there's more towards the end of the month where you will feel this soft glow coming more and more and more into your favor as the planets and everything shift around and some of the intense pressures are starting to be relieved. And you realize like, wow, there is light at the end of the tunnel. This is amazing. I still have certain qualities intact in myself as a human being. I've endured the Leo Aquarius eclipses for the last year and a half. Mars is leaving Aquarius, my opposing sign. Sagittarius energy is piling up in my 5th house of true love. This is good news. Yay. And we're going to emphasize the positive with this. This is evidence, physical evidence that good news is coming your way, okay? It doesn't mean that everything's going to be a massive parade and it's fireworks. What I'm suggesting is that the weather is improving for you, okay? Let's have a look over here. What are you radiating? Okay, the Two of Pentacles. Nevertheless, let's just admit it. The first part of the month is probably going to be very choppy waves for you, okay? Just literally struggling, to hold your balance. This energy is very, very different from the energy that I'm thinking is like the big perspective overview, broad, like you're watching the Weather Channel and you're looking for the monthly forecast. This is very sweet, but when you come down into the day-to-day stuff, you're deep in the trenches here, being bashed around up and down, left and right. Mars in Aquarius is still there. The Scorpio influence is still very powerful. We had a huge Scorpio stellium, very stressful for you. The Uranus-Venus axis is still very, very stressful. And Venus is still retrograde in Libra. So all of those things add up to a lot of stress, literally like you're this person here, just trying to stay stable in all the turbulence. But you're doing it. You're actually doing it. That's the beauty of the Two of Pentacles. You're actually handling it, okay? It might be rough sailing, tough weather, but you're doing it. You've got the talents and gifts, resources. You've been through rough stuff before, and it'll happen again. All I'm suggesting right now is just keep going, navigating, doing your best to maintain your equilibrium, creating ballast, spiritual ballast from inside of yourself, reaching out if you have to, praying to your angels. Please help me to stabilize as we go through this time of big shift and big changes. So coming out into sweeter weather. What about the other? Okay, well, more pentacles, people. More and more pentacles. So I think with all of these pentacles, it's going to be very, very evident, physically evident about what is working and what is not working. And right now, it looks like you, Leo, are relating with someone who is feeling the knocks just as much as you are, but in their own way. Now, you might be doing it because you've got a lot invested and a lot to hold on to, and you can sense the good, improving conditions coming up. But they might not be able to sense it at all. Who knows what's going on inside of them? With this Five of Pentacles, it's evidence of impoverishment of body, mind, heart, and soul in the context of love and relationship. So that's often what happens in love and relationships as we intimate and separate. Sometimes we go through our deepest, darkest periods where we feel like, well, we've made this bond. Like if you guys are married, it's a formal contract. You are contracted for better or for worse. In a true marriage, both parties knowingly and wittingly go into the contract knowing that they're going to experience the very best and very worst of each other. That's how it happens. And then what are you going to do with that? And you might be discovering, Leo, that you're dealing with a significant other who is really feeling the lack of what is working, impoverishment, left out, disconnected. And it might be simply nothing to do with them or you. It's just that blame it on circumstantial energy if you want to. You're doing everything you can to maintain your own integrity, your own stability, maintain your value, maintain your values. And so they might see that as like, well, you're neglecting me. All you think about is yourself. Well, I don't see that here personally, Leo. I think you're very aware of the relationship dynamics. And if they are having trouble understanding that you're already doing the best you can, and they feel at a loss because of this, in a way, that's their problem, Leo. Okay? Let them be, let them, if they're having a really rough time with all of this, allow for that. You don't have to pander to them and just sort of, oh, you poor thing, you poor thing, and then you let go of the ships and you lose your balance. That's not going to help anybody. Love thyself, Leo. We've been talking about this for so much and so long now. So this is a chance to kind of live it out. Allow that the significant other might be having a really, really hard time, okay, in their own way, shape, or form, whatever that is, financially, emotionally, physically, passionately, home, health, finances, whatever it is. Just allow things to be how they are, okay? And look at it from the bigger picture. Allow that everything is exactly as it should be. And believe, Tarot Lumination here, that these energies will shift, okay? All these energies that we're talking about here are kind of universal. All the planets are shifting. This is just for Leos, but it's the same planets for, that would be like a Capricorn or something, or whatever. So, everyone, every single one of us has to deal with these external influences some way, somehow or other. And you're just doing the best you can already. Allow them to do that as well. Okay. Okay. What are you radiating down here with Judgment? To me, it almost feels like, man, I wish I could get off this ship. I really, really wish I could get out of this situation. I would love liberation, freedom, reconciliation. It almost feels like it's much more to do with you internally. I, Leo, really, really am wiped out by this last year and a half. The ricochets and the boomerangs, the shifting tectonic plates with, all the Leo Aquarius dynamics and eclipses. Like, I can't wait till this is over. I am so looking forward to liberation and freedom from all the shackles and the ups and downs of this stuff. It's been great in some ways because you might have had a chance to really grow and expand spiritually. On the other hand, a day-to-day physical life, all these pentacles and so on, it might have been very choppy and bumpy at times. So there's a lot of sense of, like, to me, it feels like deep down, like, goodness is coming to you and for you, and that you deserve it. You've done so much work. You've done such a good job. at doing everything you can to stabilize and balance through all this, and you deserve liberation, you deserve freedom, you deserve reconciliation. It doesn't mean it's the end of this world with all these shifts and changes in relationship dynamics. All I'm suggesting here is that there's potential for so many shifts and changes out of rougher weather and into smoother weather for you. This is something that you could be something to rejoice. It almost feels like heavenly blessings coming onto you. And if you're not feeling that, you would be perfectly entitled to wish for it and want this and desire it and receive it. Okay, so let's have a look over here. Kerblam. Oh, wow. So again, this is actually not surprising with the tower here. It's, really cataclysmic type of energy deep down inside. Your significant other over here, Leo, they might be going through tumultuous changes that, again, it's almost like none of your business. You're being you, let them be themselves, and lean on the relationship, okay? Allow for, like, as we intimate and separate. Okay, sometimes we have smooth patches in life. Sometimes you can put everything on autopilot, just like having a really sweet weekend with kids away and barbecues are on, pools and hot tubs, and everything is just kind of fine. There's no huge threats anywhere, so you can enjoy these moments of bliss. But sometimes it's just the opposite. Like, you're struggling your best just to be you, and they're actually having a harder time than you. There's just like almost completely cataclysmic convulsions here. It's almost like everything is falling apart for them. But again, is that you? Is that your fault? Or is it something that you need to fix or cure? Or is it just them living their lives, being who they are, and you're allowing them to have their own experience of what happens in a loving relationship? And it might not be so loving from their perspective. You put these together, it might be tumultuously painful for them, and they're just wondering whether they can hang in or survive, or where on earth does it go from here? Because they might not have a clue. You might not have enough energy over here to like explain everything we're talking about here at Tarot Lumination, just so that they can have a softer, sweeter ride. You've got all your energy and resources here just trying to stabilize yourself. Hopefully, on the understanding that you're doing that as a way to invest in the relationship, to try and stabilize things, to figure out what to do next. And that will happen, but it's most likely later in the month. What about here at the core? Okay, well, with the Prince of Swords here, my feeling that there's a really, really strong message that it's about time. It's about time all this stuff came out. So it's, if you've been in a relationship, Leo, where let's say this is the structure here, let's say this is the crucible, and you've got all sorts of like things in here holding it up and propping it up, and then there's a duct tape over here, bandages in here, chicken wire and nails and bolts over here, 2x4s over here, a bunch of glue and some friends and whatever, propping everything up to hold something together that's kind of rickety and very unstable, very, very shaken up right now. And it's at the point where they're almost like they're not present. They're almost off. It's almost like they've fallen off the ship. They've fallen out of the relationship. And the people discover that, like things have been rocked around so much. You can't blame them, Leo. They can't blame you. These are just how events play out. And my feeling with the Prince of Swords, it's really about time that the truth came out. The Prince of Swords energy is very much like a truth vigilante here. And I think this will be very healthy for you guys to take advantage, especially towards the end of the month. And when Mercury goes retrograde, it'll be a time to, take advantage of the improving circumstantial weather, which is good for everybody. And then take that as a time to have a truth telling between you guys where they can actually be very forthright and open with you about the crushing cathartic losses or pain or suffering that they've had to endure. And then you can explain your side of the situation better, and that all your intentions are for the best. Their intentions are probably for the best too, but you know, if a lot of things that like happen in many relationships where so many things are left unsaid, well, people put so much stuff under the carpet, into the kitchen drawer, into the attic, into the basement, into the dumpsters, all the spiritual dumpsters and that you can find everywhere. And eventually all that stuff putrefies, okay? It just, you know, no matter how much duct tape you got, things like eventually everything becomes, it's like black mold. It just, everything gets rotten. So you have to be so, so careful. And I just want to show something here over a minute. Just give me a second here. Where's that place? Okay, I think you're going to find out more, get glimpses of it really towards the end of the month when Mars moves into Pisces. Okay, and Neptune is already there in Pisces anyway. So you're going to find out, I think it's time to go deep again. Even though you've had the Scorpio season, it's time to still go deeper into love and relationship dynamics and maybe have a really good conversation, you guys. Like, what is really freaking going on with us? In other words, like, why, tell me exactly why you feel so impoverished with us. Tell me exactly how and what is going wrong. And don't just like look fearful, spell it out. Sit at the table. Let's go to have dinner. Let's go have a cup of coffee and let's talk about this thing. Because if we care about ourselves and the love and the relationship, we can't let this thing get so shaky and wobbly. We can't live off duct tape and you know, staples and like glue. You have to, you know, have to have a solid foundation. Doesn't mean you have to get things retrofitted. You know, think of this as a piece of property, a piece of real estate, a structure. What are you going to do with this? Does it need remodeling, refixing? What needs to change? A lot of big changes happening this month. So allow for those shifts, okay, Leo? Let's have a look. Prospects over here. Okay, well, again, with the Five of Cups, it might be like the last stages of getting really, really rattled. You know, like when things reach the very, very end of a certain like chapter in a journey. I'm not saying this is the end of a relationship, but it's the end of a chapter and the beginning of a new chapter. You know, like if you think of it like like, you know how people binge watch on Netflix and so on and Hulu's and things, and you go through these chapters, and sometimes there are chapters that have these really like sad, depressing endings. You know, it's not the end, and you're kind of waiting to go into the next episode. My feeling is that's what's happening here. Is it's like it's a month of big shifts and changes, and a lot of it would be hard to handle, even for really a professional astrologer, or as if you had tarot illumination on speed dial every day. This would be tough to handle for anybody. So a lot of the things you might feel are just simply the energy, the feeling of change with all of this happening, especially around those times that we talked about, November 9th, 14th, and 28th. That's where you might feel it the most. But I think that coming out towards the end of the month, then you might come to these stark awakenings, courtesy of the sweet weather that's been there for you to find out anything and everything that is wrong that needs to be addressed, okay? And it might be tragic. It might be sad. It might be sad to realize how far you've come or how much work you've done, Leo, and yet certain things are still out of whack. And it could be tragic. It could be painful. It could be painful for them. Maybe they're having such a rough time that they can't handle it. Maybe they can't actually handle the relationship. Maybe it's cathartically, maybe their catharsis here is something that needs to be understood and brought to the surface. And sometimes things end, okay? I'm not going to say the end of all endings. I'm just going to say the end of a chapter, maybe a big chapter. You know, the Leo Aquarius cycles, for example. That whole thing is basically coming to an end. And you might get a chance now to have a look at anything and everything that went wrong. And in some ways, it could be tragic. But it's a way to mature and grow from here, because there's still a little Two of Cups over here. It's just sitting there waiting for you once you've gone through the grieving. Please allow, if there is any grieving that needs to occur because of incredibly stressful, painful losses and healing events that had to occur in your relationship, Leo, allow that to happen. The worst thing you could do is to continue to try and keep something working that is basically foobar, effed up beyond repair. Okay, basically, if you have to do a complete remodel, retrofit, make things earthquake proof, fire proof, flood proof, storm proof, tornado proof, then that's what you have to do for the next big chapter of your life unfolding. Okay, and you might have learned it in a very painful way through the reflections of a significant other. This is your reading, though. It's not a couple's reading. They're living their life, and as tragic or painful certain aspects might be for them, that's not you. You have yourself, they have another, and you have the relationship itself. To me, it feels very much like a truth telling. It's time for a truth telling, no matter how painful, because the truth will set you free. Okay, Leo? No matter how sad or tragic things might be, it's better to face this. The worst thing you could do is bury this energy. Okay? So, on that semi optimistic note, please don't forget all of this weather is working for you. It's always working for your benefit. Please take full advantage of this, okay? It's there for you. Thanks, Leo. Actually, let's put this over here. Let's leave it at that. I don't want to say anything more, I'll spoil it. To make the best of it, please consider Lumination membership. Please. That's the most valuable way you can say thank you. Check out the links, okay? Bye.